Hey, well, tonight I'm angry about executive orders. Now, you may have learned in American schools how the laws are made in this country. Congress, the House, and the Senate propose and agree upon laws, and they send them to the president to sign, thereby becoming a law. Now, an executive order is when the president, on his own signature, makes a dictate. Now, he may claim that this is not a law, and in many cases, it has been held that he did indeed create a law, but the entire point of an executive order is the president is acting on his own. He's not involving the other branches of government in any way. The history of executive orders goes back all the way to George Washington, who issued the first executive order, but the executive order that he issued was only for generals to report on the condition of their troops, essentially, and it appears as if every single president has used executive orders, with the exception of one. Joe Biden is just the latest, and it seems that these executive orders are used by the president to directly contravene the will of the House and Senate. Now, whether you agree with who is in control of the House or the Senate or not, the fact is that neither branch of government should be allowed to make law on their own, and it appears as if these presidential directives, these executive orders, are indeed presidents making laws. They are deciding what law should be. They're not going through Congress. They're not approving what Congress has sent to them to sign. They are, on their own recognizance, creating laws, making dictates, and determining our future path. The most famous of these executive orders, of course, was the Emancipation Proclamation issued by President Lincoln back in 1863. But the fact is that this should have been something that was a law passed by the Congress and signed by the president. This is the way laws are supposed to be made in this country. The House, which is composed of members who only serve for 4 years, proposes legislation. It's then sent to the Senate. Those members are elected only every 6 years, and so they are thought to be more deliberative and not so susceptible to public opinion. And the two houses, the Senate and the House, reconcile the legislation that they've come up with and send it to the president to be signed. The fact that the president is on his own initiative changing laws is unconscionable. They get around it by either saying, "I'm not making a law," or by quoting the phrase, "by the power vested in me by the Constitution." But the sad thing is that this just illustrates the vast schism that exists between government and the people, and not only between government and the people, but within government itself. These executive orders should be stopped. The Supreme Court is not active enough in deciding when laws or directives are unconstitutional. We cannot rely on them. We need to restrict government. We should not allow any single branch of government to make or determine laws on its own initiative without the steady and calming influence of all three. And by steady and calming influence, I mean it is very hard to get all three groups to agree on anything. If you have a family of 3 children, you know what I mean. And the fact that all three have to agree means that some modicum of compromise, some reasonableness needs to be achieved. If you have one person making decisions, there's no need for reasonableness at all. And this, in a microcosm, is the problem that we face with our government. Whether it's government making decisions on its own without concern for what we think, whether it's the president making decisions without concern for what he thinks the Congress thinks, these are just, in a microcosm, the schisms that exist in this country. This is not a republic. This is not the way things are supposed to work. These executive orders, even though they date back to George Washington himself, are a travesty and they need to be stopped. We need to restrain government and restrict it to its proper role, and these executive orders would be a good first step. Please, let's wake up.